There are 5 species of big cat alive today, and these cats are all members of the genus Panthera. They can be found in quite a few habitats around the world, but wherever they are found they are usually near the top of the food chain. Each of these cats is adapted to a slightly different way of life, as some are very at home in the water, some prefer dry grasslands, and some like cold frigid environments. Each of these cats is fully capable of killing a human, but some are more dangerous to humans than others. In today's video, I will be judging how deadly each big cat species is, and how likely they are to attack humans. I will be going from least deadly to deadliest, and that's why for our first species we will be heading over to Asia. The snow leopard is native to the mountain ranges of Central and South Asia, and it's perfectly adapted to this environment. They blend in almost perfectly with their environment, and they are one of the hardest big cats to spot in the wild. These cats are expert ambush predators, and they feed on a variety of ungulates and small mammals. In some places across the snow leopard's range, they will prey on domestic livestock. This often results in human-wildlife conflict, but really it's not the snow leopard's fault. These animals are simply just trying to survive, and the domestic livestock is very similar to their natural prey. This predation leads to some people poaching snow leopards, and their body parts are very valuable on the black market. This really is a shame, as the snow leopard is listed as vulnerable, and as big cats go, they are not very aggressive at all. There has never been a verified snow leopard attack on a human, and in the vast majority of cases they just want to be left alone. This is why the snow leopard slots in at number 5 as the least deadly big cat to humans. For our next species we will be heading over to South America, as we will be taking a look at the jaguar. The jaguar is the 3rd largest big cat, and it's the only living member of the genus Panthera native to the Americas. These cats are extremely strong and bulky, and they're known for having very chunky heads. This is because their heads are full of muscle, and they put this muscle to good use. Unlike some other big cats that go for the neck or the throat, jaguars usually go for the back of the skull. In a lot of cases, they will actually crush the skull of their prey, and this will kill them almost instantly. These cats are very at home in the water, and this is where they often hunt for prey. They'll target quite a lot of semi-aquatic creatures such as capybara, snakes, and caiman, and even though they are very efficient predators, they rarely attack humans. Jaguar attacks on humans are extremely rare, and they're usually triggered as a defensive mechanism. If you threaten a jaguar, it will fight back, but it's very rare for a jaguar to stalk and kill a human. Charles Darwin reported a saying of the indigenous peoples of the Americas, that people would not have to fear the jaguar as long as capybaras were abundant. Of course, jaguars can also be found in North America, yet wherever they are found, they tend to be quite elusive. The majority of attacks occur due to human-wildlife conflict, but there have been some recent attacks in the news. Earlier on this year, a group of tourists were attacked by a jaguar, but the full story is not clear. It's unknown if the jaguar was stalking this group of people, or if they accidentally startled it. Thankfully, everyone escaped with minor injuries, and attacks like this are very rarely seen. That's why the jaguar slots in at number 4, because even though it's more than capable, it very rarely kills humans. For our next species, we will be heading over to Africa and Asia, as we will be taking a look at the leopard. Because the leopard can be found over such a large area, it does have quite a few subspecies. These subspecies can differ in size and shape, and they do look very similar to the jaguar. Leopards are less stocky and muscular than jaguars, and they tend to be slightly smaller on average. Their diets and behaviours completely depend on where they're found, but the leopards in Asia seem to be more aggressive towards humans than the leopards in Africa. Even though the leopard is an expert ambush predator, its life is far from easy. It has many competitors and natural enemies across its range, including animals such as hyenas, bears, dogs, and even other cats. Because they are found in such competitive ecosystems, their kills are often stolen, and this is why they often haul their kills into trees. This tactic works most of the time, but sometimes brave lions will still manage to steal the kill. Over the past few hundred years, leopards have killed thousands of people. Leopard attacks on humans are a lot less common nowadays, but on the Indian subcontinent between 1875 and 1912, at least 11,900 people were killed by leopards. In some countries such as Nepal, leopard attacks are still relatively common, and this is mostly due down to human-wildlife conflict. There can be as many as 55 deaths per year in Nepal, and there are even more in India. Thankfully, most leopard attacks on humans are not fatal, but there were some notable attacks earlier on this year. That's why the leopard slots in at number 3, because even though attacks are relatively common, these attacks are often non-fatal. For our next species, we can stay in Asia as we will be taking a look at the tiger. The tiger is the largest living cat species, and once again it has a massive distribution. It has 2 subspecies and quite a few different populations, and unfortunately some of these populations are no longer with us. The tiger is a true apex predator, and its diet completely depends on where it's found. Across most of their range they feed on deer and wild boar, but these animals will actively hunt and kill humans. Tigers are one of the few predators that see humans directly as a food source, and this is why they can be so dangerous. Because the tiger is such an efficient predator, it's often poached and poisoned across its range. People view them as a threat to livestock and a threat to humans, but it's important to remember that we share this planet. Tigers deserve their own space just like we do, and we shouldn't kill them just because they're predators. This is part of the reason why some Southeast Asian tigers have disappeared, but thankfully global tiger numbers are increasing. One area where you'll find lots of tigers is the Sundarbans, and this is where a large number of attacks happen. Between 1947 and 1983, an average of 23 people were killed each year in this area, and this is one of the highest rates anywhere in the world. Globally, 50 to 80 people are killed each year by tigers, but this number used to be a lot larger. There were some gruesome attacks earlier on this year, and if you were to meet this animal in the wild, you would stand little chance. For our final species, we can head to Africa and Asia, as we will be taking a look at the lion. The lion is arguably the most iconic big cat, and it's an apex and keystone predator. These animals can feed on pretty much anything that they come across, but of course sometimes they do come off second best. Historically, there has been a lot of human-lion conflict, and lion attacks on humans used to be a lot more common. There have been plenty of stories involving man-eating lions, but stories such as this are increasingly rare. Most lion attacks on humans are due to human-wildlife conflict, as lions will go after livestock. Wild lions will often keep their distance from humans, but when they lose their fear of humans, they can become dangerous. There have been a few famous killings over the years, and some unlucky people are still targeted in the wild. It's estimated that lions kill around 100 to 200 people per year globally, and this slots them in at number 1. There are 8 species of bear alive today, and these animals can be found in different habitats around the world. Some live a mostly herbivorous lifestyle, and others prefer to take down large mammals. All bear species have the potential to be deadly, but of course some are more dangerous than others. In today's video, I will be ranking all the bear species from least deadly to deadliest, and I will be judging them on a few main factors. How large the bear is, how aggressive the bear is, how likely they are to come into contact with humans, and how many people they kill. Without further ado, we can take a look at our first species, and to find it we will be heading over to Asia. The panda is arguably the most distinctive bear species, and for a long time its classification was debated. It shares traits and characteristics with both bears and raccoons, but molecular studies in 1985 proved that it was a true bear, but it doesn't live a typical bear lifestyle. Around 99% of their diet is made up of bamboo, and bamboo isn't the most nutritious food. Because of this, they spend most of their day feeding, and they've evolved false thumbs to help them do so. This bamboo diet allows them to reach a maximum weight of around 160 kilograms, and even though this is a very impressive size, pandas are rarely dangerous. In the wild, these animals are usually solitary and peaceful, and they usually avoid humans when they can. If they are cornered, they can become aggressive, and at least one man has been seriously injured by a panda in the wild. Despite this, there are no records of a panda ever killing a human, so I think it's fair to say that the giant panda slots in at number 8 on this list. For our next bear, we will be heading over to South America, as we will be taking a look at the spectacled bear. The spectacled bear is the only living bear species native to South America, and it's the last remaining short-faced bear. Short-faced bears were once a lot more common, and some of these mammals were the largest bears to have ever lived. The spectacled bear is also sometimes referred to as the Andean bear, and that's because it's found in the Andes Mountains of northern and western South America. Spectacled bears are more herbivorous than other bear species, with only around 5 to 7% of their diets being made up of meat. In the wild, these bears feed on a wide variety of plant matter, but they will also target small mammals and tapirs, and they have also been known to kill and scavenge cattle. This diet allows them to reach a maximum weight of around 160 kilograms, but spectacled bears are among the most sexually dimorphic bears. Males are usually twice the size of females, and this means that the males are far more deadly. Spectacled bears are usually shy and elusive, but when threatened they will defend themselves. Because these bears will sometimes kill and scavenge cattle, they are poached in many areas of South America. This not only has a massive negative effect on their numbers, but it also makes them more dangerous, as only one human has been killed by this bear, and this attack occurred while the bear was being hunted and it was already shot. If you leave this bear alone, it will most likely leave you alone, and that's why it slots in at number 7. For our next species, we will be heading over to Southeast Asia, as we will be taking a look at the sun bear. The sun bear is the only species in its genus, and once again it's a very distinctive species. It's typically found in tropical forests, and it's the most arboreal of all the bears. It has very loose skin and a stocky body, and it spends the majority of its day feeding on insects and fruits. The sun bear is not only one of the strangest looking bears, as it is also the smallest, as they max out at around 70 kilograms. This smaller size allows them to be great climbers, but it also means that they can be taken down by predators. They are sometimes targeted by tigers and pythons, but these bears know how to fight if they need to. Once again, these animals are usually shy and reclusive, but if provoked, they can turn into killers. There has been at least one reported case where a sun bear has killed a tiger, and these bears have been involved in a few fatal attacks on humans in India. So even though these bears are relatively small, they can still pack a punch, and they slot in at number 6 on this list. For our next bear species, we can stay in Asia, as we will be taking a look at the Asian black bear. Just like the sun bear, these bears are adapted to a mostly arboreal lifestyle, and they are found over a large part of East and Southeast Asia. As it is found over such a large area, it has quite a few subspecies, and these subspecies can differ in size, shape, and behaviour. These bears usually have a similar build to brown bears, but of course they are lighter and smaller. Once again, they max out at around 160 kilograms, and they get to this size by feeding on a wide range of foods. They mostly feed on insects and plant matter, but they will also feed on garbage and carrion, and larger specimens will target ungulates. The majority of Asian black bears are cautious animals, but they are also known for being unpredictable. They are known for being more aggressive towards humans than the brown bears of Eurasia and the American black bears of North America. It's believed that they are so aggressive because they have to deal with many dangerous predators, and their range also overlaps with other bear species. These animals are more than capable of killing humans, and the Asian black bears of Japan are some of the most aggressive. 9 people were killed by these bears in Japan between 1979 and 1989, and there's been a rise in attacks in recent years. That's why these bears slot in at number 5, as some individuals can be extremely aggressive. The next bear we will be taking a look at is another black bear, but to find it we will be heading to North America. The American black bear is endemic to North America, and it's the continent's smallest and most widely distributed bear species. As they are found over so much of the continent, the American black bear has quite a few subspecies, and these bears can be found in a wide range of colours. This is why they're often misidentified as brown bears, or in some cases polar bears. Like most bears, the American black bear lives an omnivorous lifestyle, and they like to feed on the foods that we leave behind. Even though the American black bear is the smallest bear in North America, they are still very large, as they can max out at around 250 kilograms. A bear of this size is not to be messed with, but attacks on humans are still relatively rare. Black bears kill less than one person per year on average in North America, and this is despite the fact that there are around 750,000 black bears in North America. This means that young men are 167 times more likely to kill someone than a black bear, and most black bear attacks are defensive reactions to a person who is too close. Despite this, there was a fatal attack in June of last year, and this attack was a predatory attack. So even though these bears have a massive population, they rarely attack humans, but if they choose to kill a human, they are more than capable. For our next species, we will be heading back over to Asia, as we will be taking a look at the sloth bear. The sloth bear is once again quite a distinctive bear, and it's a bear that's often underestimated. The majority of its diet is made up of fruits, ants and termites, and this is part of the reason why they have such strange lips. Sloth bears lack upper incisors, and their lips also allow them to suck up large numbers of insects. This protein-rich diet helps them to reach a maximum weight of around 190 kilograms, and at this size, very few animals will mess with them. As these bears are found on the Indian subcontinent, they have to deal with many dangerous animals. They are sometimes preyed upon by tigers, and they also have to be on the lookout for leopards, crocodiles, rhinos and elephants. This is believed to be the reason behind their behaviour, as they are one of the most aggressive bears in the world. These bears are more likely to attack humans than most other bears, and when they do, they usually go for the face. In one state in central India between 1989 and 1994, 48 people were killed by these bears, and 686 people were injured. There was one famous sloth bear that was responsible for killing 12 people, but eventually it was killed by a famous Indian writer and hunter. So really it's best to give these bears a wide berth, and they're fit for number 3 on this list. For our next species, we will be heading to the Arctic, as we will be taking a look at the polar bear. The polar bear is the largest extant species of bear, and it's the largest land carnivore. They can reach a maximum weight of around 900 kilograms, and they get to this size by feeding on other animals. The polar bear is a hypercarnivore, and it is the most carnivorous species of bear. They'll feed on pretty much anything they come across, and in some cases this is even their own kind. Polar bears are one of the few animals that see humans directly as a food source, and this means that if you come across a polar bear, it will likely try to kill you and eat you. Thankfully, polar bears rarely come into contact with humans, but when they do, the outcome isn't pretty. There was a fatal attack in Alaska last year, and there have been quite a few attacks over the years in Svalbard. If you meet this bear in the wild, you have little chance of survival, and the only reason it isn't number 1 on this list is because it rarely comes into contact with humans. For our final bear on this list, we can travel to quite a few areas across the northern hemisphere, as we will be taking a look at the brown bear. The brown bear is another species that has quite a few subspecies, and some of these subspecies are relatively peaceful animals. The larger, more aggressive subspecies are responsible for the majority of attacks, and as they are found over such a large area, they come into contact with humans frequently. In North America, there are around 2 to 3 fatal attacks each year, and even though fatal attacks are less common in Europe, there have been a few recent fatal attacks that have hit the news. In Japan, brown bear attacks seem to be on the rise, and of course one of the worst brown bear attacks in human history occurred in Japan. This just goes to show how deadly these animals can be, but it's important that we don't villainize them. These animals are simply just trying to survive, and even though the brown bear is one of the deadliest bears in the world, attacks on humans are still relatively rare. Despite this, the brown bear slots in at number 1 on this list, as it is the deadliest bear in the world. Africa is home to some of the deadliest mammals on this planet, but not all of these mammals are predators. Some of Africa's most dangerous animals are herbivores, and some of these herbivores kill far more people than the predators do. In today's video, I will be going through some of Africa's most dangerous herbivores, and I will be ranking them from least deadly to deadliest. To find our first animals, we will be heading to Central and South Africa, as we will be taking a look at the wildebeest. Now there are 2 species of wildebeest alive today, the black wildebeest and the blue wildebeest. These 2 species are very closely related to each other, and they live similar lives and they're found in the same ecosystem. Because of this, I will be grouping them together in this video, as they both have similar stories and are as deadly as each other. These mammals spend most of their day feeding on grasses, and they're usually found in small loose herds. They form much larger herds when they choose to migrate, and during the Great Migration there can be as many as 1,000 animals per square kilometre. These herbivores have to deal with the majority of Africa's large predators, and they are common prey for animals such as lions, leopards, and crocodiles. Because of this threat of predation, they have to be very fast on their feet, and they also need to be able to defend themselves when they have to. Lions can be killed by wildebeest if they are caught on their horns, but in the vast majority of cases, wildebeest will choose to flee. These creatures are only really a threat when threatened, and attacks on humans are usually provoked attacks. Back in 2004, a man was killed by one of these animals on his farm in northern Indiana, and in 2013, a man and his son were killed by a wildebeest on their farm in South Africa. It seems as though most wildebeest attacks on humans occur in captivity, and in most cases, if you leave them alone, then they will leave you alone. That's why both wildebeest species slot in at number 6, because even though they are fully capable of killing a human, they rarely choose to do so. For our next inclusion on this list, I will once again be grouping two animals together, as we will be taking a look at the white rhinoceros and the black rhinoceros. The ranges of the black and white rhinoceros overlap, and once again they do live very similar lives to each other. They both have very similar body shapes and lifestyles, but the white rhinos are larger on average. The easiest way to tell these two animals apart is by looking at their heads, as white rhinos tend to have larger, bulkier heads, and they have very wide, square-shaped mouths. The black rhinos tend to have a pointed lip, and these animals are a lot rarer. The black rhino is currently listed as critically endangered, and this is mostly due down to poaching. As these animals are so large and powerful, they could easily kill a human, but thankfully for the most part they are gentle giants. Even though the white rhino is larger, the black rhino is known for being more aggressive, but you'll struggle to find examples of rhinos killing humans in the wild. Unfortunately, there was a fatal attack back in 2017, and this was when a Hungarian conservationalist lost his life. He played an important role in trying to reintroduce these animals back into Rwanda, but unfortunately one of these animals got spooked and killed him. Poaching pressures have only made these animals more aggressive towards humans, but thankfully for the most part they are peaceful animals. Because of this, they slot in at number 5, because even though they are more than capable, they rarely kill humans and other predators. The next animal we will be taking a look at is the giraffe. Giraffes are the tallest living terrestrial mammals on this planet, but currently we're not quite sure how to classify them. Traditionally, they have been thought of as one species, but it's now believed that they should be split into 4 species. Giraffes have quite a few distinct populations dotted around Africa, and these populations differ in size, pattern, and behaviour. No matter where these animals are found, they have to deal with predators, and these predators usually come in the form of lions, leopards, spotted hyenas, and African wild dogs. These animals would struggle to take down a fully grown individual, but they do try to take down their young. Even though giraffes have no obvious defences, they do have quite a mean kick. This kick is more than capable of killing a predator, and their headbutts are pretty dangerous too. These animals are mostly harmless unless provoked, but female giraffes are known to be aggressive when protecting their young, and males can become aggressive during the mating season. Back in 2018, a filmmaker was killed by a giraffe in South Africa, and it appears as though the giraffe headbutted the man while he was filming it. One of the most recent and tragic cases was back in 2023, when a mother and her child were attacked by a giraffe. Thankfully, attacks such as this are very rare, and that's why the giraffe slots in at number 4. The next animal we will be taking a look at is the African buffalo. Unlike the previous animals in this video, the African buffalo is known for being a very deadly creature. It not only has the ability to kill a human, but it also does so on a regular basis, and this is how it's garnered the nicknames of Black Death and Widowmaker. Because the African buffalo lives in a very dangerous and brutal ecosystem, it needs to be able to defend itself. Animals that are found in ecosystems with lots of predators are usually more aggressive, and this aggressive behaviour helps them to survive. African buffaloes are a lot more likely to fight back against predators, and surprisingly, in a lot of cases, they win. African buffaloes will sometimes chase and kill lions, and they're also known to show aggression towards humans too. 49.5% of African buffalo attacks on humans are fatal, and these animals kill more people than lions or leopards. Most attacks occur when the buffaloes feel threatened, and it's estimated that around 100 to 200 people are killed by these animals each year. For that reason, the African buffalo slots in at number 3, and if you see this animal in the wild, it's a good idea to avoid it. For our next inclusion, once again, we will be grouping 2 animals together, and these animals are the African bush elephant and the African forest elephant. The African bush elephant is the larger of the 2 species, but both of these animals are threatened with extinction. The African bush elephant is the largest living terrestrial animal, and because of this, it's also one of the most dangerous animals. Elephants are very complex and intelligent animals, and it really is a shame that we treat them so badly. They are capable of feeling many complex emotions, and they're even able to hold grudges. This means that if an elephant comes into contact with a poacher, or if it's a victim of human-wildlife conflict, it can hold a grudge and will most likely be aggressive towards humans if it sees one again. Most African elephant attacks on humans are due to human-wildlife conflict, and if an elephant manages to get hold of you, you stand little chance. It's estimated that elephants kill around 500 people each year, but this number includes both African elephants and Asian elephants. It really is a shame that these animals are forced to fight for resources with humans, but hopefully this situation will improve in the future. The final herbivore we will be taking a look at is the hippopotamus. I'm sure for many of you watching this video, it's not surprising that the hippo comes in at number 1, as famously it's one of the most dangerous large animals on this planet. They are known for being extremely aggressive and territorial, and they are surprisingly fast for their size. These animals are known for being more aggressive in the water than they are on land, and they will often chase and attack boats. Back in May 2023, there was one very tragic incident where a hippo capsized a boat in Malawi. 14 people managed to swim to safety, but 23 people went missing, and there have been a few other similar cases such as this over the years. These animals demand respect and they need to be given a wide berth, and if you find yourself in the water with one, it's game over. It's estimated that hippos kill around 400 to 500 people each year, and this is why they slot in at number 1 as Africa's deadliest herbivore. The great apes are a group of animals that we are a part of, and these animals can be found all over the world. Most great apes are larger and more powerful than we are, but of course humans are the most dominant of the great apes. In today's video, I will be trying to find out which species of great ape is the deadliest, and I will be ranking them from least deadly to deadliest. I will be ranking these animals based on a few factors, such as their size, behaviour, and the number of attacks on humans. Of course, this is not an exact science, so feel free to let me know what you think. But without further ado, we can take a look at our first species. And to find it, we will be heading over to the Democratic Republic of Congo. The bonobo is a relatively peaceful primate, and this is why some people refer to them as hippie chimps. It is one of 2 species in its genus, with the other being the common chimpanzee. It can be very difficult to tell these 2 species apart, and bonobos weren't even recognised as a separate species until 1929. Bonobos tend to have pinker lips and a darker face, and they are also smaller than chimpanzees on average. Bonobos and chimpanzees are our closest living relatives, but these 2 animals have very different temperaments and behaviours. Chimpanzees are known for being quite brutal and aggressive, whereas bonobos are the more peaceful species. Bonobo groups are led by females, and they have a very interesting way of keeping the peace. Bonobos will use sex to reinforce bonds within the group, and they'll even use sex to resolve conflicts. This strategy seems to work for the bonobos, but unfortunately a bonobo's life isn't entirely violence-free. If 2 bonobo groups come together, it can become violent, and there can be fatalities on both sides. Even though these primates mostly feed on plant matter, they will hunt other animals, and these animals usually come in the form of antelope, squirrels, and other rodents. Bonobos are stronger than most humans, but not larger individuals, and there have been a few reported attacks over the years. Thankfully, none of these attacks have proven to be fatal, and that's why the bonobo slots in at number 5. For our next group of primates, we will be heading over to Southeast Asia, as we will be taking a look at the orangutans. There are 3 species of orangutan alive today: the Bornean, the Sumatran, and the Tapanuli. In this video, I will be grouping these 3 animals together, because even though they differ in size, shape, and behaviour, it's hard to say whether one orangutan species is more deadly than another. Orangutans are the heaviest tree-dwelling mammals, and they spend the majority of their lives swinging through the canopies. Their reliance on forests is one of the reasons why all orangutan species are listed as critically endangered, as their habitats are being destroyed at an astonishing rate. Orangutans exhibit extreme sexual dimorphism, with males being a lot larger than females. These males can reach a maximum weight of around 130 kilograms in the wild, and on average orangutans are a lot stronger than humans. Because of their size and power, most predators will leave them alone, but they do have to look out for tigers, pythons, and crocodiles. Clouded leopards will sometimes target their young, but they rarely go after the adults. Just like most of the other great apes, orangutans mostly feed on plant matter, but they will sometimes target other animals. They have been seen targeting slow lorises, and they will sometimes go after small rodents. For the most part, orangutans are very peaceful creatures, and attacks on humans only really occur in captivity. There have been no verified fatal attacks on humans, and this is mostly due down to their peaceful nature. Even though they could easily kill a human, they never do, and this is why the orangutans slot in at number 4. For our next group of primates, we will be heading back over to Central Africa, as we will be taking a look at the gorillas. There are 2 species of gorilla alive today, the eastern gorilla and the western gorilla. Once again, I will be grouping these 2 species together, because even though they have quite a few differences, it's hard to say whether one gorilla species is more deadly than the other. Gorillas are the largest and most powerful of the great apes, and they can grow to weights of 270 kilograms in the wild. They are usually shorter than humans on average, but they are much bulkier, and they have far more dangerous teeth. Even though the gorilla's canines may look like the canines of a predator, around 85% of their diet is made up of leaves and stems. These animals will also feed on insects and mollusks, but they very rarely hunt other mammals. Gorillas live in small groups called troops, and these troops tend to be led by one adult male. The silverback will try and protect the group from danger, and this danger usually comes in the form of leopards. If gorillas were more aggressive, they would easily be one of the deadliest primates in the world. Thankfully, gorillas are quite peaceful animals, and they only really attack if provoked. Males will often fight each other, but it's rare for a gorilla to go after a human. Some of the only gorilla attacks on humans have been in captivity, and one of the most recent attacks was in 2020. This attack occurred at the Madrid Zoo, and it left one zookeeper with open fractures on both arms. Thankfully, cases such as this are extremely rare, and that's why the gorillas slot in at number 3. For our next primate, we can stay in Africa, as we will be taking a look at the chimpanzee. Chimpanzees are famously very intelligent and powerful animals, and they share many traits and behaviours with humans. Chimpanzees can be found in groups ranging in size from 15 to 150 members, and they have a strict male-dominated hierarchy. Similar to the other great apes, their diets are mostly made up of plant matter, but they will feed on other primates, small ungulates, birds, and reptiles. Chimpanzees settle most disputes without violence, but when they do choose to fight, it can be very brutal. These animals will often maim and kill one another, and separate groups will even go to war. One chimpanzee war lasted 4 years, and it ended with all the males in one community being killed. As well as attacking their own kind, they will also attack other primates, as they have been seen attacking and killing young gorillas. Chimpanzee attacks on humans in the wild are extremely rare, but in captivity it's a different story. Just like most wild animals, chimpanzees are extremely dangerous, and they should never be kept as pets. There have been a few horror stories over the years where pet chimps have attacked their owners and other people, and one of the most famous stories involved a chimp called Travis. In 2009, Travis attacked his owner's friend, and she suffered devastating injuries to her face and limbs. Eventually, Travis was shot by a police officer, and unfortunately there have been many other stories such as this over the years. Because of the chimpanzee's power and aggression, they slot in at number 2, and it's not hard to guess which animal comes in at number 1. We humans are the deadliest great apes in the world, and we kill billions of animals each year. As most of you watching are humans, I will keep this short and sweet, as most humans are aware of the damages that we cause. Human-related factors cause the endangerment and extinction of thousands of species each year, and we're also the main reason why the other great apes are suffering. Many of the other great apes are hunted for bushmeat, and we're destroying most of their habitats. Hopefully this will change in the future, but I believe that humans will always be the deadliest primates in the world. Recently, I made a video about the deadliest big cats in the world, but in the comments under this video, people kept asking why I didn't include certain species. The term big cat only refers to cats in the genus Panthera, but there are plenty of other large cats around the world. Today, I will be focusing on these species, and I will be ranking them from least deadly to deadliest. I have chosen 5 not so big cats to focus on today, and to find our first species we can head to Africa, the Middle East and Central Asia. The caracal is a medium-sized wildcat, and it's most well known for its long tufted ears. These animals are typically nocturnal, but they will hunt in the day, and they're known to feed on a wide variety of animals. They stand at around 50 centimeters tall at the shoulder, and they can weigh up to 19 kilograms. And although this doesn't make them a giant, they put their size to good use. Caracals are extremely athletic cats, and one of their superpowers is their jumping ability. It can jump as high as 3 meters, and they are known to catch birds in midair. Mammals make up around 80% of their diet, and they are known to feed on a large number of ungulates. These cats can even take down the largest birds in the world, the ostriches, and they usually do this by sneaking up on them while they're nesting. These cats can easily take down prey 2 to 3 times their size, but strangely they keep their distance from humans. It's extremely rare for a caracal to attack a human in the wild, and in most cases they will only attack in self-defense. Unfortunately, some people like to keep these wild animals as pets, and this is obviously a very selfish thing to do. There's no way that you can provide the right enrichment for these animals in your home, and this leads to very unhappy and unhealthy cats. Wild animals are called wild for a reason, and they should not be kept as pets. One of the only recorded caracal attacks on humans happened in Illinois, and this was when one pet caracal escaped in 2019. The cat first attacked a toddler, and then it attacked its mother, and eventually a policeman had to shoot the animal dead. It's a shame that the animal had to die in this way, and of course it is the owner's fault. These cats are extremely deadly animals, but they only slot in at number 5, as there are a few other deadly cats on this list. For our next species, we will be heading over to Southeast Asia, as we will be taking a look at the clouded leopard. The clouded leopard is usually found in dense forests, and it's known for being extremely elusive. You can be very close to one, but you'll never know it's there, and of course this ability helps them to catch their prey. These cats have large heads and paws compared to the rest of their bodies, and they also have relatively short legs and long tails. This gives us a clue into their lifestyle, as these cats are mostly arboreal and nocturnal. They'll feed on a wide variety of primates and ungulates, and to help them dispatch them they have some of the largest canines compared to their skulls of any of the cats. Thankfully, these animals are not considered dangerous to humans, because as I've covered, they are generally shy and elusive. They tend to avoid contact with people, and even in captivity, attacks are extremely rare. There's no doubt that the clouded leopard is an extremely deadly cat, but due to its size it only hunts certain prey. For this reason it slots in at number 4, but it is one of the most talented climbers among all the cats. For our next species we can head to quite a few places across Eurasia, as we will be taking a look at the Eurasian lynx. The Eurasian lynx is one of 4 species in the lynx genus, and it is the largest lynx species in the world. They can stand up to 75 centimeters at the shoulder, and they max out at around 35 kilograms. These cats will hunt for food in the day, but they are mostly nocturnal, and across their range they feed on a wide variety of animals. Like most other lynx species, the Eurasian lynx is extremely elusive, and it catches most of its prey by sneaking up on them. They are known to kill deer that weigh as much as 150 kilograms, and this is over 4 times the weight of the largest Eurasian lynx. These cats will also go after other predators and wild boar, and across their range they are only bettered by the largest predators. Thankfully, Eurasian lynx typically ignore humans, but as they are mostly nocturnal, they rarely come into contact with humans. Despite this, the Eurasian lynx is an extremely controversial animal, as they are involved in a lot of human-wildlife conflict. In some areas they are known to feed on livestock, and this often leads to the farmers retaliating. Many believe that they should be reintroduced into many countries across their former range, but of course this is a very controversial topic. Strangely, one of the most recent attacks happened in Atlanta, and this was all the way back in 2014. A 21-year-old woman was attacked while feeding the lynx, but thankfully she survived the incident. This is just another reason as to why wild cats shouldn't be kept as pets, and the woman was very lucky that it wasn't a lot worse. The Eurasian lynx is definitely the deadliest cat in Europe, but it only slots in at number 3 on this list. For our next species, we will be heading over to Africa and Asia, as we will be taking a look at the cheetah. The cheetah is famously the fastest land animal on this planet, but it's had to make some sacrifices to be this fast. The cheetah is a very slender and lightweight cat, and because of this, it rarely gets into fights. Its kills are often stolen, and it's bullied by some of the larger predators in Africa. It can stand at around a meter tall at the shoulder, and it reaches a maximum weight of around 75 kilograms. This is quite a bit bigger than the previous cats, and this means that it can take down larger prey. Cheetahs mostly target medium to large sized ungulates, and larger individuals will take down wildebeest. Their size and behaviour varies greatly across their range, and there are currently 4 recognised subspecies. Thankfully, cheetahs are not an active threat to humans, and they are quite docile compared to other wild cats. There have been a few cases where cheetahs have attacked children in the wild, but none of these attacks have been fatal. Once again, the majority of attacks occur in captivity, but these attacks are rarely ever fatal. Cheetahs are definitely one of the deadliest predators in Africa, but as they are relatively lightweight cats, they can't target the largest of prey. For that reason, they slot in at number 2, and it's not hard to guess which cat is number 1. The cougar is easily the deadliest cat that's not a big cat, and they can be found over large areas of North and South America. It's the most widely distributed wild terrestrial mammal in the Western Hemisphere, and it's one of the most widespread large predators in the world. They can be found in a wide range of habitats and ecosystems, from the Rocky Mountains to the Amazon rainforest and the Andes Mountains. The cougar is an ambush apex predator, and it feeds on a wide variety of ungulates and rodents. They can take down prey as large as moose, and in some rare cases they will target humans. The cougar is an extremely dangerous animal, but they don't kill as many people as most people think. I've covered this topic in a previous video, and even though cougars are fully capable of killing humans, they rarely choose to do so. Over 130 attacks have been documented in North America in the past 100 years, and only 28 of these attacks have resulted in fatalities. Far more people are killed by lightning strikes or bee stings, but it's still very important that you respect the cougar. One of the most recent fatal attacks was earlier this year, when unfortunately a 21-year-old man lost his life. If you are attacked by a cougar, it's important to fight back, as this can end up saving yours and other people's lives. This is exactly what happened earlier on this year, when some heroic women fought off a cougar. The cougar had attacked one of their friends, and after fighting with it for over 15 minutes, they managed to pin it under a bicycle. This is an extremely brave and admirable thing to do, as the cougar is one of the deadliest cats in the world. Canines are a wonderfully distinctive group of mammals, and they can be found almost all over the world. Most canines are omnivorous and extremely hardy, and some have even found their way into our cities and into our homes. Different canines are adapted to different habitats, and each species plays a slightly different role in its ecosystem. Some canines are elusive and solitary, some are unique and specialized, and some are apex pack hunters. In today's video, I will be focusing on the 10 deadliest canine species, and I will be trying to rank these species from least deadly to deadliest. These animals will prey on pretty much anything they can catch or outsmart across their range, and our first species has one of the largest ranges of any mammal. The red fox is the largest of the true foxes, and they are found across almost all of the northern hemisphere. Red foxes also have invasive populations in a few countries such as Australia, and they are known to outcompete many of the native predators. As the red fox has such a large distribution, it's no surprise that they have quite a few subspecies. These subspecies differ in shape, size, and coloration, and some of these populations are even endangered. The fact that the red fox is found over such a large area is an example of its deadliness, as it has to compete with the majority of predators in the northern hemisphere. It has to adapt to hunt different prey species, and it has to deal with different prey availabilities. And like most other canines, they have a highly varied diet. They will feed on anything from small mammals, fish, and insects to berries, nuts, and the food that we leave behind. Red foxes are proficient hunters, but their size means that they can only hunt prey up to a certain size, and they usually stay away from the riskier meals. The largest red fox subspecies max out at around 18 kilograms, and animals of this size are able to tackle prey as large as adult wallabies and small deer. Red foxes only really attack humans when they're rabid, and they usually choose to stay hidden and out of sight. Of course, it's a very different story with city foxes, and they are one of the best canines at adapting to urban environments. The red fox is an extremely deadly animal for its size, but because it's a smaller canine, it's only fit for number 10 on this list. The maned wolf is an extremely distinctive canine, and it almost looks like a larger form of the red fox. This animal has quite a confusing name and appearance, as it's neither a wolf or a fox. Instead, the maned wolf is the sole living member of its genus, and its closest living relative is the tiny bush dog. These two animals have completely different body shapes and lifestyles, but believe it or not, these two animals are related. The maned wolf's closest known relative was the Falkland Islands wolf, but unfortunately this canid is no longer with us after going extinct in 1876. The maned wolf is the tallest wild canid, and this lofty frame is actually a useful adaptation. They like to hunt in areas of long grassland, and their height helps them to see above the grasses and pick out prey or forage for fruit. This animal is once again omnivorous, but it eats more plant matter than most other wild canids. Some studies suggest that plant matter makes up around 50% of their diet, and they will feed on most edible plants in their area. They are known to feed on sugarcane and bulbs, and they even have a fruit named after them as they eat it so regularly. When they want a taste of meat, they are very adaptable predators, and they are known to target over 178 different animal species. Around 21% of its hunts are successful, and they will prey on anything from armadillos and insects to pampas deer and large birds. They are mostly shy around humans and will flee in the face of danger, but if you're a small to medium-sized animal, then they are extremely deadly. For this reason, they slot in at number 9, as they are one of the deadliest canines in South America. The African wolf is found over much of North Africa, and it's known for being a very crafty and adaptable animal. For a long time, this animal was believed to be a subspecies of the golden jackal, but in 2015 it was proven to be distinct from this canid. It's more closely related to the grey wolf and coyote, but studies have demonstrated that it is the descendant of a genetically admixed canid of 72% grey wolf and 28% Ethiopian wolf. The African wolf's size differs greatly across their range, but some of the larger individuals are found in Egypt and can reach a maximum size of around 20 kilograms. This animal's social organisation is extremely flexible, as sometimes they are seen alone and sometimes they are seen in small family groups. These groups are able to take down larger prey than solitary individuals, and the African wolf is known to target a wide variety of animals. They are capable of taking down prey 3 times their size, but in most cases they target the young of larger herbivores. Even though the African wolf is an impressive predator, it does spend a lot of its time scavenging and foraging instead of hunting. For this reason, it's only fit for number 8, as there are plenty of deadlier canines out there. The golden jackal can be found over a large area of Eurasia, and across its range it has a few different subspecies. Even though the golden jackal is called a jackal, it's not closely related to the black-backed jackal or the side-striped jackal, and instead it's more closely related to wolves and coyotes. It plays a very similar role in the Eurasian ecosystem as the coyote does in the North American ecosystem, but on average the golden jackal is a little smaller than the coyote. This animal is a social canid, and it's usually found in small family groups consisting of a breeding pair and young offspring. It's another very adaptable species, and just like previously featured canines, it does very well in urban areas, but it does the majority of its hunting in the wild. It can prey on animals as large as water buffalo calves, but in most cases it will choose the easy meal. They have quite a few competitors across their range, including wildcats, foxes and raccoons, but in most cases it is able to outcompete these mammals. The golden jackal is one of the larger canine species, but they lack the aggressive behaviour that would rank them higher on this list. For that reason they slot in at number 7, and for our next canid we can head back over to Africa. The Ethiopian wolf is a wild canine native to the Ethiopian highlands, and they are very similar in size and appearance to the coyote. They have more of a reddish colour to their fur and longer slender snouts, and of course these animals are some of the most iconic canids in Africa. Unlike most other canines, the Ethiopian wolf is not a generalist feeder, and instead it's a highly specialised feeder targeting the rodents of the Ethiopian highlands. Unfortunately, they are also one of the world's rarest canines, as they are only found over a small area and there are only an estimated 360 to 440 left in the wild. This canine has always been rare since its discovery, but it hasn't been helped in recent times by threats such as habitat loss and human-wildlife conflict. The Ethiopian wolf is a social canid, and they can be found in groups of up to 20 adults. Groups this large are very rare, and it's more common to see groups of around 6 individuals, usually formed by dispersing males and a few females. Even though the Ethiopian wolf mainly targets rodents, they have been known to target antelope calves, but this hunting behaviour is relatively rare. If you're a larger herbivore, the Ethiopian wolf is not a particularly dangerous animal, but if you're a small rodent, then this canine is one of the deadliest animals in the world. They will wait near the entrances of burrows for rodents to show, but sometimes they are known to lose their temper and they will start digging ferociously. They will sometimes use their intelligence if other techniques are failing, as they are known to hide amongst cattle to sneak up on unsuspecting rodents. The Ethiopian wolf is not a conventionally deadly animal, but it is one of the most impressive hunters in the canine family, and for that reason it slots in at number 6. The coyote is a canine native to North America, but I'm sure most of you knew that already. This animal is one of the most well-known canines in the world, and it's garnered quite a bad reputation. Like the red fox, the coyote does very well in urban environments, and this has led to many people viewing them as a pest. The coyote shouldn't be hated for its adaptability, and in most cases they are better at controlling pests than being pests. One of the reasons that coyotes are attracted to urban areas is because they are great rodent hunters, and our wasteful eating habits attract these small mammals. They are great at controlling rodent numbers around farms, so as long as you protect your livestock well, then they are a positive species to have around, and they're really no pest at all. Coyotes are close relatives of the grey wolf, and these animals will even interbreed where their ranges overlap. They are a lot smaller than their closest relatives though, as they max out at around 34 kilograms. Coyotes of this size are quite rare, but there are quite a few subspecies across North America, and some of these subspecies are larger than others. They usually travel and hunt alone, but sometimes they will join loose pairs to take down larger prey, and this prey can be a wide range of animals. The coyote's diet varies across its range, but they are primarily carnivorous, with an average of 90% of their diet consisting of meat. There are a few documented cases where packs of coyotes have taken down fully grown moose, and tragically these animals have even taken human lives. In 2009, 2 eastern coyotes killed singer-songwriter Taylor Mitchell in Nova Scotia, and back in 1981, a coyote snatched 3-year-old Kelly Keene in Glendale, California. This is a rather gruesome reminder of how deadly these animals can be, and that's why they come in at number 5. The dhole is a distinctive canid that roams across South and Southeast Asia, and it's the only member of its genus. They are closely related to species in the genus Canis, but their closest living relative is believed to be the African wild dog. Dholes aren't the largest canines, maxing out at around 21 kilograms, but they seem to be unaware of this size and target animals far larger than themselves. They are highly social animals, being found in large clans consisting of up to 40 animals, but usually these groups number around 12 individuals. Hunting in packs allows them to target larger prey, and like many other canids, their superpower is their stamina. They can chase prey for many hours, and each dhole will take it in turn to lead the chase, while the others rest, running at a steadier pace. Dhole will target prey weighing as much as 175 kilograms, and this means that when they make a kill, there's a lot of food to go around. They are found in some of the most competitive ecosystems in the world, and to be able to survive in these ecosystems, they need to be extremely hardy. Their natural enemies come in the form of leopards and tigers, and sometimes these animals will even predate on them. Dhole do have safety in numbers in most cases, and they have been known to steal the kills of larger predators and even chase them out of areas. Pound for pound, the dhole is one of the deadliest canines in the world, but due to their smaller stature, they slot in at number 4. The dingo is a wild canine that can be found over large areas of Australia, but we aren't quite sure how to classify it. Some believe that the dingo should be classified as the same species as the domesticated dog. Some believe that it should be a subspecies of the domesticated dog. Some believe that it should be its own species. And some believe that it's a subspecies of wolf. The reason behind this confusion is the dingo's history, as this animal hasn't been in Australia for long. The earliest known dingo remains date back to around 3,500 years ago, and it's believed that they have been in Australia for at least 5,000 years. Its closest living relative is the New Guinea singing dog, and it's believed that dingoes were introduced into Australia from Southeast Asia by humans. They soon took over Australia and became one of the top predators in the country, and humans even used to hunt alongside them. In Australia, dingoes are known to prey on at least 177 different species, with the majority of their diet consisting of mammals. Since their introduction, they have had a major impact on the ecosystem, and they have been blamed for the extinction of quite a few native animals. They will prey on pretty much anything they come across, and they will even venture into the water in search of food. Dingoes are usually shy around humans, but there have been a few cases where they have attacked and killed people, and one dingo attack hotspot is Gari. In 2001, a 9-year-old was attacked and killed by 2 dingoes here, and in 2012, a young dingo was killed by rangers on Gari after continued aggressive and dangerous behaviour towards people. In recent years, there have been similar cases such as this, and it's important to keep your distance from wild dingoes. The dingo's power and adaptability allows it to be one of the deadliest predators in Australia, and for this reason they slot in at number 3. The African wild dog is the largest canine native to Africa, and it's the only member of its genus. They have a scattered distribution across sub-Saharan Africa, and unfortunately they are becoming increasingly rare. The African hunting dog is listed as endangered, and there are only an estimated 6,600 individuals left in the wild. They are threatened by habitat fragmentation and human-wildlife conflict, and this really is a shame, as they are one of the most distinctive predators in Africa and the world. These canines max out at around 40 kilograms, and they get to this size by primarily feeding on meat. They have a hyper-carnivorous diet, and they specialise in feeding on medium to large-sized antelopes. Once again, their superpower is their stamina, and it helps that they hunt and live in groups of up to 30 individuals. They are known to form extremely tight bonds, and these bonds are stronger than those of lions and hyenas. The average African wild dog hunt covers over 2 kilometers, and over this distance the prey animal is slowly worn down. They have one of the highest success rates of any mammal, as around 80% of their hunts are successful. They are known to take down prey as large as the African buffalo, but successful hunts on animals this large are extremely rare. African hunting dogs have many natural enemies across Africa, and one of their main competitors is the African lion. Lions are one of the main sources of African wild dog mortality, and a decrease in lion populations in certain areas can result in an increase of wild hunting dogs. African wild dog attacks on humans are extremely rare, but there was one tragic case in Pittsburgh Zoo in 2012. A 2-year-old boy fell into the African wild dog enclosure and unfortunately he lost his life to these canines. But of course this tragedy wasn't their fault. To be able to survive in the same ecosystem as lions and hyenas, you have to be extremely hardy, and I think it's fair to say that the African wild dog is one of the deadliest animals in the world. The grey wolf is the world's largest canid and it's easily the deadliest canine in the world. This animal has quite a few subspecies around the world and many of these subspecies are confused for separate species. If you're wondering why there haven't been many wolves on this list so far, it's because most wolves around the world are considered to be a subspecies of grey wolf, so really they all fall into this category. Grey wolves can reach a maximum size of around 80 kilograms, and an animal of this size is capable of taking down surprisingly large prey. Famously, wolves live and hunt in large packs, and this allows them to be one of the deadliest predators in the world. They primarily target ungulates, and they have been known to take down animals as large as adult moose and bison. Across their range, they have to compete with many apex predators such as bears and cougars, but these animals must respect the grey wolf. Despite their fearsome reputation, grey wolves rarely kill humans, as between 2002 and 2020 there were only 26 fatal attacks throughout the world. People use their reputation as an excuse to kill them or eradicate them from an area, but these animals are essential predators. Wolves play a very important role in ecosystems around the world, and without their presence, prey numbers would multiply out of control. This has already happened in quite a few areas across Europe and North America where wolves have been eradicated, and deer numbers have multiplied at an astonishing rate. These impressive predators are needed to keep balance in their native ecosystems, and they are easily the deadliest wild canines in the world. Mustelids are an extremely diverse group of mammals, and they are known for being immensely tenacious and feisty. These animals can come in many different forms, and they each play different roles in their ecosystems and seem to have their own unique set of skills. Some prefer to get their pools wet and hunt for aquatic creatures. Some are expert diggers and try to unearth their prey, and others are impressive land predators. Mustelids are famous for regularly taking down prey much larger than themselves, and some of them seem to never back down from a fight. In today's video, I will be going through some of the deadliest mustelids in the world, and I will be ranking them from least deadly to deadliest. Our first animal is an incredibly impressive aquatic predator, but it's not typically seen as a dangerous animal. The sea otter is the heaviest mustelid in the world, but it's also one of the smallest marine mammals. The word deadly doesn't really come to mind when you think of the sea otter, but these cute animals are the masters of their ecosystem. A sea otter's lung capacity is 2.5 times greater than that of a similar sized mammal, and they own the thickest fur in the animal kingdom, which helps them to keep warm in cold waters. The vast majority of the world's sea otters are found in Alaska, and Alaska's waters can be very treacherous. Orcas and sea lions are the main predators of sea otters, but in recent years, grey wolves in southwestern Alaska have started to hunt these animals too. Thankfully, a large number of sea otters are found in and around kelp forests, and these ecosystems offer protection to many aquatic creatures. Kelp forests are full of life, and without this unique ecosystem, many of the animals that inhabit them would soon disappear. The sea otters not only live in and around these ecosystems, but they also ensure their health, and they do so by feeding on certain hard-shelled creatures. If we take a look at the sea otter's skull, it gives us an idea as to what they feed on. Their skulls are relatively chunky and robust, and they own a set of strong, thick teeth. These teeth are perfect for crushing crustaceans and mollusks, and the sea otters target one hard-shelled creature that can cause serious damage to the kelp forests. Sea urchins feed on kelp, and if left unchecked, they can completely wipe out kelp forests. Only a few predators in the kelp forests are able to prey on these animals, and luckily the sea otter is definitely one of them. By controlling sea urchin numbers, sea otters are a valuable keystone species, but they don't only limit themselves to targeting hard-shelled creatures. Sea otters need to consume around 25% of their body weight each day, and they famously use tools to crack open the shells of certain organisms. Only very intelligent animals are known to use tools, but sometimes the sea otters will go for a more direct approach with certain animals. They will sometimes target giant octopuses and slow-moving fish such as toadfish and Irish lords, and even though these animals are harder to catch, they are easier to dispatch. Sea otters, like many other otters, are shy around humans, but there have been a few individuals that have attacked and bitten people. In most cases, they will leave you alone if you try and flee, but it's a very different story if you're a tasty sea creature. Sea otters may not seem deadly at first, but they are incredible predators in their ecosystem, and their size and power means that they slot in at number 5. The American badger is a feisty little mustelid, and even though it may look very similar to the badgers of Eurasia, they are not closely related. The American badger behaves in a very different way to the badgers of Eurasia, and it seems to always be in a very bad mood. These animals max out at around 15 kilograms, and even though this is relatively small for a North American predator, they put this size to good use. The American badger is a predator, and it mostly targets burrowing animals. The majority of its diet is made up of ground squirrels, gophers, moles, marmots, and prairie dogs, and to get at these prey animals, they will dig down into their burrows. In some cases, American badgers will target more dangerous prey such as rattlesnakes and burrowing owls, and they will even take down animals a similar size to themselves such as skunks. They are great at dealing with changes in prey availability, and they will even store meals for a later date. In 2016, scientists at the University of Utah conducted an experiment where they left 2 deceased calves in the desert. Over the course of several days, 2 American badgers independently buried the animal carcasses, and then they came back for them at a later date. The American badger is an extremely aggressive animal if provoked, but if you leave them alone, in most cases they will leave you alone. This behaviour helps them to convince potential predators that they are not to be messed with, but they do fall victim to larger animals, and cougars are thought to be some of their main predators. Despite the fact that they are very difficult creatures to be around, American badgers are known to work together with other species. The American badger has been seen working with coyotes to hunt small mammals, and researchers have found that the coyote benefits by an increased catch rate of around 33%. The badgers force the burrowing animals out of their burrows, and the presence of the coyotes keeps them in. This often means that there is no escape for the animals, and it seems as though this partnership is beneficial for both predators. The American badger's aggressive behavior and adaptability allows them to be extremely deadly animals, and they're fit for number 4 on this list. The giant otter is the longest member of the mustelid family, measuring a whopping 1.8 meters in length, and it's the second heaviest otter after the dense sea otter. These animals are found in the fresh waters of South America, and they are one of the top predators in this ecosystem. The giant otter is a social species, and they are usually found in family groups of 3 to 8 individuals. Living and hunting in groups increases their hunting success rates, and it also keeps the younger members in the group safe from predators. Giant otter groups are extremely cohesive and cooperative, and one of the main reasons behind this is their communication. They are extremely noisy, and they have a wide variety of high-pitched vocalizations, and they are believed to be the most vocal of all otters. Adult giant otters have no serious natural predators, but it is possible that some of the largest black caiman specimens would be able to target them, and so would bull sharks that travel up rivers. Jaguars and anacondas may target young and weak individuals, but usually they focus on easier prey. The giant otter primarily feeds on the freshwater fish of South America, and as they are so large, they can target large and difficult fish such as catfish and plecos. They do most of their feeding in shallow waters, and they can be very territorial and will aggressively protect valuable feeding areas. They will fight other otter groups in their area, and they will even chase away caiman. In some rare cases, they will even predate on small caiman and anacondas, but they are much happier targeting fish. Unfortunately, these colossal freshwater predators are endangered today, and most of their threats are human-related. They are poached in many areas across South America, and they are also targeted in remote fishing communities as they are seen as competition or a threat. It's important that we protect these animals as they are essential to the South American ecosystem, and they are one of the most iconic predators in South America and the world. The giant otter's communication and intelligence gives them the edge over their competition, and for this reason they easily slot in at number 3. The honey badger is the only living species in its genus, and it's famous for its tenacity and its fearlessness. Despite its name, it's not closely related to other badgers, and it has more in common with weasels. There are quite a few mustelids that have a very similar colour scheme and appearance, so this look is not unique to badgers. It's widely distributed across Africa, the Middle East and South Asia, and these areas are home to many dangerous creatures. The honey badger openly struts across the open grasslands of Africa, and not many creatures can do this on a regular basis and survive. Just like the American badger, the honey badger is known for being extremely aggressive, and it rarely backs down from a fight. They will happily fight snakes, lions and leopards, and it's shocking to see how much damage these animals can take and still walk away. Honey badgers max out at around 18 kilograms, and this is relatively small for a land animal in Africa. You'd think that it would be easy for an African predator to take down a honey badger, but they have a few adaptations that help them in life or death situations. They have thick, loose skin around their necks, and this means that it's hard for predators to hang on to them and land a killer blow. This skin is loose enough for them to turn around and bite back, and their claws are far from useless too. Like many other members of the mustelid family, the honey badger is a great digger, and it can use its claws to dig into the flesh of attackers. One of the more little known facts about the honey badgers is that they are extremely intelligent, and they have incredible problem-solving abilities. Famously, one captive honey badger named Stoffel would constantly escape his enclosure just to steal food and fight lions, and each time he would come up with a new way to get out and would often use tools in his daring escapes. Honey badgers will feed on pretty much anything in their ecosystem, and in some locations in India they have been known to dig up human bodies. Thankfully, this behaviour is rare, and the majority of their diet is made up of small vertebrates. The honey badger is not the deadliest predator on this list, but it's one of the hardiest animals in the world, and it's possibly the best mustelid at fighting back against predators. For this reason, it slots in at number 2, and next up is the deadliest mustelid in the world. The wolverine is the largest land-dwelling member of the mustelid family, and it's known for being one of the strongest and most ferocious animals of its size. It's found in the northern parts of North America and Eurasia, and in these areas it's a solitary carnivore with an extremely varied diet. Wolverines are primarily scavengers, and they will often track other predators so that they can feed after them or even steal their kills entirely. The wolverine's skull is substantial, and even though it doesn't have the strongest bite force, it's able to chew through bone. This means that they can make the most of a carcass, and they are able to feed on almost all parts of an animal. When the wolverine needs to, it will happily hunt for its own food, and unsurprisingly, it can easily take down prey many times its own weight. They usually target small to medium-sized animals, but they have been known to take down bison, moose, and other similarly sized predators such as the Eurasian lynx and Canadian lynx. The wolverines of Eurasia are known to hunt more regularly than the wolverines of North America, and it's believed that they do this because the predator densities are less dense in Eurasia. Just like the American badger, they will cache food in plentiful months, and this behaviour is very useful for mothers with kits. Wolverines have a few natural enemies across their range, with bears, wolves and cougars being their most bitter rivals. All of these animals have been known to kill wolverines, but wolves are known to kill more wolverines than any other predator. They will usually fight back and try to escape from larger predators, but as the wolves hunt them in packs, it's hard for them to escape. To be able to survive in the cold, competitive ecosystems of North America and Eurasia, you have to be an extremely hardy animal, and the wolverine is one of the toughest animals in the world. Lizards are an extremely diverse group of reptiles, and they can be found in a wide range of habitats around the world. Some lizards have taken over islands, some have adapted to feed at sea, and some have become powerful apex predators. Most lizard species are completely harmless and skittish, but some larger species are efficient hunters, and they have even been known to take the lives of humans. In today's video, I will be taking a look at some of the most dangerous lizards in the world, and I will be ranking them from least deadly to deadliest. For our first species, we will be heading over to New Guinea, as we will be taking a look at the crocodile monitor. The crocodile monitor is a large lizard that's endemic to New Guinea, and it's one of the largest monitor lizards alive today. They can reach lengths of over 2.5 meters, and they can reach a maximum weight of around 20 kilograms. In the wild, these monitors are mostly arboreal, and they feed on a wide range of forest animals. Their diet depends on their size and their location, but the majority of its diet is made up of birds, small mammals, and carrion. Unfortunately, relatively little is known about this species due to its elusive nature and its remote native habitat, but locals have claimed that they are also able to kill and consume deer, pigs, and wild dogs. It's claimed that they share a trait with leopards, as locals claim that they haul their prey into the trees to consume them. The crocodile monitor has a few adaptations that allow it to hunt its prey more effectively, because just like all other monitors, they have anatomical features that enable them to breathe more easily while running. This means that monitors are among the fastest and most agile lizards in the world, and it's allowed them to be extremely effective land predators. When most people think of venomous reptiles, they often think of snakes, but today we now know that a large number of lizards are venomous too. Historically, it was believed that some lizards, such as monitor lizards, had a variety of highly septic bacteria in their mouths, but today we know this not to be the case, and most, if not all, monitor lizards are venomous. Some monitor lizard species have more toxic venom than others, and even though the crocodile monitor is venomous, it's not known for having a highly toxic venom. Across most of its range, it's viewed as a bad creature to have around, and it's often described as an evil spirit that climbs trees, breathes fire, and kills men. Despite this, some locals still believe that their presence is a warning that crocodiles are nearby, and this is part of the reason behind their common name, with the other being that they have a crocodile-like snout and teeth. Thankfully, the crocodile monitor is not aggressive towards humans, but they are known for being unpredictable. Their venom makes them slightly more dangerous than other lizards in the area, but there has never been a recorded fatal crocodile monitor attack on a human. The crocodile monitor is an extremely deadly predator if you're a smaller animal, but as they struggle to take down larger prey and because their venom isn't that toxic, they only slot in at number 5 on this list. The Mexican beaded lizard is native to Mexico and Guatemala, and they are typically found in deserts and tropical forests. The Mexican beaded lizard is one of 4 beaded lizard species, and these species are in the same genus as the Gila monster. Like the Gila monster, the Mexican beaded lizard is also venomous, and so is one other beaded lizard species. Strangely, its venom isn't really used to kill its prey, as the vast majority of its prey is already defenseless. Even though the Mexican beaded lizard will sometimes prey on birds, small mammals, and lizards, they are a specialized vertebrate nest predator, and they usually target bird and reptile nests. These distinctive reptiles are sometimes targeted by birds of prey and canines, and this is where their venom comes in very handy. When a Mexican beaded lizard bites a would-be attacker or prey animal, they are known to hold on tight to make sure that their venom has the desired effect. The beaded lizard's venom is a weak hemotoxin, but it does cause damage to small to medium-sized animals. Beaded lizard bites on humans are usually not life-threatening, but there have been a few fatalities over the years. A bite from this animal can result in respiratory failure, but of course in most cases they just want to be left alone. Even though the Mexican beaded lizard is not the most impressive predator, its venom means that it's an extremely deadly lizard, and it's fit for number 4 on this list. The Asian water monitor is the longest lizard in the world, and it can be found in South and Southeast Asia. It's considered by many to be the second largest lizard in the world, but the black-throated monitor reaches a similar size. As you might be able to guess by its name, the Asian water monitor is often found in and around water, but they have shown that they are very good at adapting to urban areas. These animals aren't very picky when it comes to choosing a water source, as they will happily hunt in both fresh and salt water, as well as city parks and even sewers. Some Asian water monitors are known to get around big cities by moving through the sewers, and they take advantage of the food that we leave behind. They will feed on a wide variety of aquatic and amphibious prey, but the populations in the cities are known to have a far worse diet than the populations in the wild. Because they have such a large range across South and Southeast Asia, the Asian water monitor has quite a few subspecies across the continent. These subspecies can differ in shape, size, and colour, but the larger populations have little to fear. They are sometimes targeted by large predators such as tigers, leopards, pythons, and crocodiles, but they do get revenge on some of these animals. As well as hunting animals in and out of the water, Asian water monitors will also target reptile nests. They are known to commonly target crocodile, snake, and turtle nests, and they will happily take young crocodiles if they come across them. Thankfully, these reptiles are rarely aggressive towards humans, but they do seem to like the taste of human flesh. They are known to commonly feed on corpses, and they will even dig up bodies that have been recently buried. They have been effective at finding bodies in missing person investigations, but in most cases they do more harm than good by inflicting damage to the corpses. There was one very interesting case that Asian water monitors helped to solve, as a 51-year-old man was found dead surrounded by 8 dead water monitors. The man's body was partially scavenged, and this prompted an investigation into whether the man had been poisoned. It was later discovered that the man had died after ingesting a bottle of pesticide, and this also poisoned the water monitors that were feeding on him. Thankfully, if you are still in the land of the living, you have little to fear, but Asian water monitors will attack if they feel threatened. Their venom has little effect on humans, but as they are so large, they can still cause a lot of damage, and even though attacks are rare, they can be devastating. Because of this lizard's size, power, and adaptability, it easily slots in at number 3, and for our next species, we will be heading over to North America. The Gila monster is native to the southwestern United States and parts of northwestern Mexico, and as I've already covered, it's related to the bearded lizards. The Gila monster is relatively heavy and slow moving, and its aposematic coloration tells potential predators that it's not to be messed with. This reptile maxes out at around 60 centimeters long, and it can weigh in at around 2.2 kilograms. This size means that they are the largest lizards in the United States, and they are also the most dangerous lizards in the United States. The Gila monster has quite a few adaptations that help it to survive in its semi-arid habitats, such as a large thick tail where it stores fat, and strong claws that help them to dig burrows into the sand. Because of the harsh climate in the places in which they are found, Gila monsters spend 90% of their lives underground. When they do emerge from their hiding spots, they feed on a wide variety of desert animals, and like their close relatives, they also feed on the eggs of other animals. They own one of the most interesting skulls in the animal kingdom, as you can easily see their osteoderms, and you can also see the grooves on their teeth that deliver their venom. Just like their close relative, the Mexican bearded lizard, they are also known to hang on when they bite, and this can lead to some pretty nasty injuries. These animals will only really bite when they are cornered or provoked, and the toxicity of their venom is often exaggerated. Only one person has been killed by a Gila monster since the year 1930, and surprisingly it happened earlier on this year. A 34-year-old man was bitten by his pet Gila monster in February, and he died in hospital 4 days later. There were a few fatalities before the year 1930, but in most cases the people that died were intoxicated or they mismanaged the treatment of the bite. Even though its bite isn't usually life-threatening, it is known for being quite painful, and it's thought to be one of the most painful bites produced by any vertebrate. Coyote Peterson is one of the few people that can tell you how it feels, and I'll leave it to him to explain.
It was the worst pain I had ever experienced, the throbbing, the squirming of my body, and of course the constant fear that is this only going to get worse, because as the venom started traveling up my arm into my shoulder, I didn't know at what point it was going to stop.
Over the years, there have been many strange myths about the Gila monster, such as its breath being toxic enough to kill humans, that it can spit venom like a spitting cobra, and that it can leap several feet in the air to attack. Strange rumours such as these have led to people fearing and even killing this reptile, which is tragic as they are listed as near threatened. This lizard's strong bite, venom and size means that they are fit for number 2 on this list, and there's no surprise which lizard is number 1. The Komodo dragon is the largest and easily the deadliest lizard in the world, and it's native to a few small Indonesian islands. It's a member of the monitor lizard family, and it can reach a maximum length of 3 meters and a maximum weight of around 150 kilograms. The Komodo dragon is an apex predator, and it dominates all ecosystems in which it's found. They will feed on pretty much anything they come across, and this can be anything from deer and pigs to buffalo and sometimes humans. It's believed that dwarf elephants would have made up a large chunk of their diets in the Pleistocene, but of course these curious animals are no longer with us. Even though the Komodo dragon is terrifying enough to some, they once had a much larger relative in Australia. These animals were around 3 meters long excluding the tail, and they preyed on a large number of Australia's extinct megafauna. Like other monitor lizards, they are venomous, and their venom is known to be more toxic than the other species. Its venom causes blood clotting, lowering of blood pressure, muscle paralysis, and the induction of hypothermia, eventually leading to shock and loss of consciousness. This venom, along with their power, allows them to take down prey much larger than themselves, and it means that they are very dangerous animals to be around. Attacks on humans are rare, but they have been responsible for a few fatalities over the years. Most dragons seem docile at first and can even be pushed away using sticks, but they can be unpredictably aggressive and will turn on people suddenly. From 1974 to 2012, there were 24 reported attacks on humans in the Komodo National Park, and unfortunately 5 of these attacks were fatal. Just like the Asian water monitors, they are also known to dig up corpses and consume them, and they have been known to eat up to 80% of their body weight in one sitting. Because of the size of their meals and because of their sluggish metabolism, large Komodo dragons can live on as little as 12 meals a year. Unfortunately today, they are listed as endangered due to human-related factors and prey availability, but if they are given the chance to live freely, then they can live for up to 30 years. Most lizards around the world are little danger to humans, but the Komodo dragon is one of the only exceptions to this rule, and if you want to stay alive, I wouldn't turn your back on them. They are the largest and most impressive land reptile alive today, and for this reason they easily slot in at number 1 as the deadliest lizard in the world.